Hi, everybody. This is Leah, and then I'm gonna take you through a tour of what I have been up to in my studio. What's my thesis about? What have I found out? What is in the future, and like what am I planning to do? I think it's really important to first of all appreciate my studio and kind of look at where my studio is right now. And then we're gonna slowly delve into it. I want you guys to kind of experience what's going on around me. So also if you hear any background noises, it is currently Tuesday, 8 p.m. So I should go around. Okay. You walk in, boom. Yeah. Oh, can you see this? Whoa. I almost I almost lost you guys. Might as well do this. My laptop is about to run out of charge, but oh. And we've got this, we've got lovely, lovely posters, we've got this, we've got my previous work, then we have this. Okay, and then boom. Fluidity. Yeah, guys. Fluidity. My space. And then also more of my space. As you can see, there is books. Whoa, no way. Yeah, you reading? I've been reading. I've been reading actually a lot. So let me just put you guys back on charge. It's gonna be very casual, so don't expect any crazy certain like vocabulary apart from a bit later, because that will definitely happen when I'm gonna start talking about my work and what I've been doing. Let's go back from the beginning. As you guys got a sense of it, there is actually a lot of boom, there's me. I drew it myself. Yeah, you're gonna get that a lot because this is kind of the way that I work, and then also this is me. Yeah. Anyways, you're gonna get this, but hear me out. Let's talk about from like why am I doing this and what is really happening. I mean, I told you guys, right? I'm doing this to honestly really have a documentation of what I'm doing, but also I want to share, I want to yap more about my work because as I talk about my work, it brings me clarification. It brings me like it's interesting to look at your work from like third perspective, which I always try to do. I guess I try to do it, but am I really doing that? I guess we'll never know. So and then also I have been doing a lot of things and I feel like I've been retelling the same story, unquote, as I basically change every single thing every single time. Like different I miss out different information, I include some different information. You guys get it. Anyways, so that's why I want to make it really fun because it is gonna be fun. That's the way that I talk about my work. It's almost just like, well, guys, here it is. Look at my work. I had mid critique review like last week, literally, yeah, last week, and then almost last week. And then that was also very interesting because I'm gonna tell you what happened. So let me get into the beginning. The way that I'm gonna call it is new forms and perspective. Do I have everything written down? Yes, I'm trying to be organized, guys. Thank you very much. Anyways, what? Why am I here talking about this? And why is there like silver tinfoil, like some pictures of me, some other things? This, why? Well, guys, funny thing you asked, because basically everything happened with an accidental thing. And this accidental little cutesy thing happened through popular water. Boom. It was basically, I was back in high school. I was lower six to be exact. And I was putting on my paper projects up on the wall. I had a cup of water. I had my hot glue, which I was planning to put my self-made paper onto a board. So as I was putting in the hot glue just somehow went over the water. And it was a cup that I was using for like oil paintings or whatever, but like I haven't gotten it's like a fresh cup, but it has really cold water. And I was like, whoa, it's crazy. The way that the hot glue just has formed on top of the water is kind of incredible and it's impeccable. Let me just carry on doing it. Boom, boom. I had graphite on my side and I had water on my side and I had hot glue. I touched hot glue and I was just like, let me just put it on top. I put it on top and guess what happens? Boom. Eureka. Eureka. Fuck. I've been messing it up. I've been saying it every single time wrong. Like for this past week, I just can't seem to remember the way to say it. Of course, I know how to speak English. But yeah, that happened. So I was just like, I was planning to be more organized about it, but here we are. Everything has just been spread out everywhere around my room. So I don't really know where everything is. Potentially could be under my sink and it's not unfortunately. However, the whole thing that has happened kind of changed my whole mindset about um never mind, never mind. I'll find it, I'll show you guys, okay? Like whatever. Let's move on. So yeah, I feel like that's definitely that interaction with how food kind of changed my perception of materiality, what that really means, if there's like more standardized ways of using things, and if there's other things, if you just push a little bit, like blah blah blah. So basically my whole like high school journey, I started using wax and then I started filming it. I started putting on hot glue and then I was also doing chocolate drawings and I was just like, wait, this is crazy. There is so much conversation between the materials that I'm working with because I would just really put my whole self into the material interaction in a way that, of course, can't be really read through my work. Potentially, maybe it can be read and I just can't really see myself looking at myself in third perspective. Boom. Anyways, I don't know what's really happening. I had 2 coffees today, just keeping on. And I'm also just, I had like a lot of sugar, aka dark chocolate and white chocolate. Anyways, basically sugar high and caffeinated. So I was like, this is absolutely incredible. And then my professors were like, my teachers, they were like, okay, Leah, so like, what are we gonna call your work? And I was like, well, that's actually a very good question. Because there wasn't really a single thing that could really describe it as, just from my vocabulary. I'm sure there's other ways that people could have described it. But I was like, I'm exploiting the materials. That was just like the name that I would use for my sculptures, my hot glue sculptures. But just have to keep in mind, it would look like something along these lines. Of course, not this, but I guess this is the best way that I can for you. So actually I'm a liar. It would look something like this. But it's not this, of course. But can you see it's shiny? And I was like, this is incredible. I'm gonna get to this word later. So I was like, okay, what's next? What's the word? And then it was boom. That's how fluidity was born. So this is my whole thing. I started really questioning it as a concept. And I was just like, what what does that mean? What does that mean? Came to university, of course I had to do absolutely something different for the first 3 years, and I was just like, fluidity, this, fluidity, that. All my friends were like, Leah, what the fuck? Like, move on from your fucking Hogwarts sculpture, whatever. I'm like, bitch, I know I want to. I've been wanting to, but I really can't. I've been wanting to do it since like I finished high school, but still there's so many possibilities that I really could have pushed further. So I was just like, this ain't an era that needs to be ended right now. So I was just like, okay, let me just focus on other things that I can also kind of like look into, potential also just jobs and everything like that. I love fashion too. I love to dress up. I love the idea of making and creative processes are everywhere. So I was just like, okay, let me do my fashion communication thing. So I was just like, yeah, let's do it, let's do it. So I did like a summer course and then we had an project that we had to do, which was called zine project. We could make a zine about anything, just about formatting, whatever. And I was like, let me look at my works. Because some people were doing like collection of their friends' works, and I was like, well, I have my own work, so let me just like investigate what I have. And boom, I see that there is a theory, not theory, but there's a repetition of color and of course form. We knew about fluidity, but what about color? What about the surface? What about the texture? And it happened to be the texture and the color silver. It was hot glue, or it was also silver foil. And I was like, wait, that's really intriguing. Why? Started research. And then I found out that basically like through that reflective material, it triggers a part of our brain, which triggers instinct. Because the reflective quality of the cinesilver is also very present in water. So when we see reflective things, we'll be like, oh, water, that is needed for survival. So therefore, there's a potential chance that the reason why we gravitated towards jewelry and like gold and silver and diamonds, because it's like questioning survival in as a whole concept. I mean, it's a massive thing. It's like existential concept just brought onto you. So I was like, whoa, that's crazy. On top of that, I also struggle sometimes with dissociation and reality, like derealization, to put it that way. I feel like, of course, if I wasn't able, from my extensive research, if I wasn't able to really describe it, I would have just been like, "Hmm, whatever, like, but I was just like, let me just get deeper into it because since I'm already looking into psychological things, there's definitely so many things more that I can just bring in and question the fuck out of. That's how my silverine was made. And all observation, 'cause I'm selling myself and it's obsession, and I'm selling myself for silver, and boom, could be read from front and back. But basically, it's all here, right? You can see, boom, exactly the same thing. Yeah, exactly the same thing. So I just decided to print this out, and then there's also more like frames of the same work over here. But basically, the whole thing about is here is, first of all, I'm bringing in my also concept of language, because language is also very interesting to me, but also the idea of it rather than actual like written language. But anyways, the breaking down like, oh, what can I understand? Why can I not understand? Why is it really hard for me to at the same time speak in English? Why is it really hard for me to at the same time to speak my mother language, which is Russian? And I'm like, oh, but like that's crazy because I should be able to feel confident in at least one. But unfortunately, alas, we are not. So therefore, I brought in a Russian poem where it compares silver and water together. And I was like, that's crazy. And this poem is called On Water, very much like on paper and all of that. If you guys know what it is, if you guys know what it is, doesn't matter. It's just basically like Renaissance shit like that. This poem was written in the 1900s by Nikitin Aninsky. Boom. But very cool. Anyways, expanded obsession, digitalization, presenting my body in a feminine way, all the accessories, how they really need it, or is it all for survival? So this whole thing was basically, I'm covering myself in silver because I'm basically struggling to be alive. So I'm like, okay, water is not enough. Let me add some more silver, but I'm not going to ingest it because I don't want to have argyria. I'm going to show you guys about that later. It's going to be disgusting. Just viewers discretion advised. But then also, what about putting myself on? Since I don't really know what's happening around me, what if I just like, boop, that should be real, right? Since it has silver on it, right? It's reflective, right? I'm alive, right? So I'm like trying to basically make myself feel more alive, more real. Bringing in the idea of digitalization. How with digitalization, I can make myself even more silver. I can make myself even more warped and make myself at the same time real, right? Boom, the back. Crazy. Also, with the making, I used mayo. So that's also a whole thing because I'm really interacting with the materials. And it really felt like me, felt like very much in character. And it was almost like I discovered my alter ego. I didn't even know if it's an alter ego. I only really realized like like last week, about a week ago. So I was like, that's very interesting. Then, okay, like that was before, that was in my third year. So like, damn, was it not even last year? It was like 2 years ago. It was a while ago. Actually, a year ago. My bad. So I was like, interesting, interesting. Of course, I come back. And then I'm like, I need to continue this exploration of myself as this whole thing, which is pretty much is undescribable, describable, I guess. Up until like still to this day, I feel like there's still ways that I could talk about it more professionally or more straightforward, but I really can't. So I ended up making this work. It is called Observation 2. It is squishy and it is literally my face. Uh, like, first of all, just breaking like interaction, bringing in more Quinn and also my obsession with Linda Bengals and whatever, because I had this whole series of work which are called globes, and it was really about like me interacting with material, but then I turned into something about like personification of those globes, and kind of it's like an eruption and blah blah blah. Now, honestly, looking back at it, it kind of makes sense. Because I got kind of I kind of go crazy when I start working with materials. So that was a whole thing. And then long time ago, I also did like a small zine about fluidity and what it meant. Mark Quinn, and then there's some other things, kind of looking at the idea of body, and also color is really important. Red, it's really resonant with blood, of course. So it's like, what does that also mean? And at that time as well, it was about self. It was of course, about myself, but like more like interaction with myself as myself. Now I don't remember what I said in the critique, but it was kind of crazy. Because it was definitely a lot. So at that time, still was struggling to describe what the fuck is fluidity mean. Working with fluids, haha, and there was like also like body fluids and stuff like that, where I was like, that's not what I'm trying to bring at. That's not really where my soul, my heart is really like touching myself into. It's more like materiality and playing with silicone, and it's like imitating something, but it's not really that, and da 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 da, whatever. Cool. I went to UK like last semester. It was crazy. It was in the best way fucking possible, because basically I like started looking. I was like, let me just do the fluidity right now. Because we had our own studio and we could do really anything. All I did, I took a lot of long walks. Really, I kind of felt like really at peace with myself, which is very important, because I felt like in New York. I guess I'm feeling like that right now as well too. It's like go, 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 go. You know what I mean? Um, and I was just like, what do I do? So I went to UK, and then I actually gathered a lot of important things. I started looking into biology. I started looking into different forms of biology, aka here we have this. Let me show it to you. Actually, let me start talking about this. So as I was doing this and I was looking into biological structures, I was trying to draw, but at the same time I was trying to let materials, like especially ink, it was Suma ink that I was kind of like interacting with, kind of what it means to kind of be at peace. And it was honestly so peaceful, y'all. Like I recommend taking some. It felt like a semester off, honestly, and I really needed it more than what I just realized. The reason I'm putting so much emphasis now is because now I'm the absolute opposite. I feel like I'm the absolute opposite. Who knows? So, anyways, I come back and I'm like, my thesis time. It's time to shine. More of like, it's time to shine on hot glue things that I haven't been able to kind of address before. Let me do it. I'm gonna call it this whole section. It's called ditching fluidity, this digging deeper, like it was needed. Anyways, I come into the studio, I'm like, oh my God, crazy. So I have to do this work for one of my classes about to create genealogy list, and I'm like, what is genealogy? Man's deeped it so much that I wrote this whole genealogy potential list, mind map, whatever, on my freaking wall using a phosphor pen. Yeah, I couldn't have done it even, like, I could have done it more. And then for my media business class, I was like, what do I do? What do I do? Like, we had to pick like a thing that we had to read and basically like critically analyze. This is it. This is what I analyzed. And this is basically about water and enduring history. It's about water and about like different theories, like string theory, lost basis in biology, chemistry, tetrahedral motif, that matrix of life. I think what I was really looking at that time is just I wanted like find some other ways that I could talk about my work, but not even just myself and my peers, but more of like an academic way. And I found out a lot about it because I feel like that really kind of introduced me into the framework of using research that will actually boost my work, not even my work, but will boost my like thought process rather than it being like a very like a nagging thing that I'm like, oh, just all waffle. Like, oh, don't, no, 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 don't like it. Anyways, genealogy on my list, on my wall. I questioned, of course, fluidity, brought in silver, graphite, situational work, feelings, materiality, process, hot glue, water, biology, chemistry, three-dimensional network, micro versus macro, control the uncontrollable, feelings, materials, experience, zine, language, computational versus organic, silverine, observation, feelings, feels like me, metal, matrix of life, strength. Can you tell? People were like walking into my room and they're like, Leah, it looks like you're going crazy. It was like second week of school. And I was like, you know what? I think I actually am. I didn't say that. And I'm not going crazy, guys. I'm good. But just like, I was like, questioning everything. And you know, that was amazing because that's what I needed to do. So then for my other class, and it was not actually for the same class, but oh god. Okay, anyways. Hi guys, I'm here. I'm back here. So we had to basically like bring out pictures or images for like references as in regards to like research. So kind of creating an exhibition out of it. So we had to pick things that really speak to us. And of course I was talking about water. So these are the images. These are all my images, and I'm going to point out the ones that are not my images. Computational language fluidity. This is the whole thing that I was talking about. Texture. Texture carries context, and what that really meant, you know, looking same shapes, colors, and blah blah blah. This is Mark Quinn, by the way. They. I don't know if I actually like him or not. Like I've just kind of looked at this book and like I bought a book by him, but I'm like, do we like him? We don't know. Linda Banglis. And then we've got my man. Then we've got my man. This is Modrian, and this is Suzanne. Guys, really what I like forgot about it. I forgot about the author's names. Never. Anyways, and I'm like, I like fashion. I've been obsessed with this like AI generation images, like those portraits. And I was like, this is incredible cool because it's like gives such refreshing forms of editorial finished high look. Well, also it's like mutation. Anyways, now we've got more pictures from my zine. This is actually the original. Oops, it's actually the original file from the Mayo before like I cut it off. But if you could really actually look into it, it does be like, oh, that's Mayo. So it says haunt. H-A-U and then N and then T. More pictures. And I actually had this is that. And I had more iterations of like kind of thing. And then I looked into like all of this. How I brought in how I like aesthetics, makeup, and blah blah blah. Also, these are the images like this too of what I was looking in UK, especially this. I redrew this, and that was also very interesting. Let me show it to y'all. My bad, I have a lot. This is the scene. This is the observation, part 2. This is what I did in UK. It's litho and acetate print. This is the series of blobs. So this is the one that looked like a head, the one that kind of began it all, and then I kind of expanded more. You know, things I was just like, oh, whatever. As other scenes that I did, but Fluidity and Mark Quinn. Of course, I didn't finish it, and I don't even know. Okay, I have it here, guys. Swear to God. This is the thing. I was like, absolutely, yes, I'm gonna recreate it. Like, oh, this is my drawing, by the way. But you know, kind of that's kind of what happened. So I was like, okay, that's really interesting. Let me actually write it down and look into the thoughts of like fluidity and expanding. So of course I did it, guys. So I was like, organic versus computational. It's the same questions kind of repeated over and over again. Theory, philosophy, visual form, blood and silver, feminism, water, color, structures, materials, origin, you know. And then like I was brainstorming too. I was like, emotions, emotive response, feelings, presence, allocation, geographic, transformative, map, materialist process, lead, origin, placement, law of attraction, digital language, water, blood association, overflow, metamorphosis, microorganism growth, biological substances, organic versus organized, interaction, workflow, fluidity, philosophy. Why am I doing this? Where do the references come from? Even theories, constant state of change, interdisciplinary, monochromatic, organic versus computational, structured, obsession, silver perspective. Why am I gravitating to this? So I've gotten some responses and it will be like, what makes some things organic, emotional, mental, body form, construction elements. This is all of it printed out. So a bunch of things, kind of looking to psychology of form and fluidity, interaction with it, and etc. etc. So I kind of like started like questioning even things even further, kind of like going back into my zine and being like edited behind the zines of the person digitalized, camera obscura, particles and matter, absurdity. And this is like images from walls that I had a long time ago. And I was like, this is kind of incredible because I absolutely love it. Because there's something like so organic. So I was just like, yes, you know what I mean? Are you weirded out by this? I won't know. So anyways, things that we were talking about. Let's go back to that. Still talking about digital fluidity. So, I was like, it's more than just fluidity, whatever that is at the moment. I don't even know by fluidity. And then I was introduced with the ideas of formal quality, of liquidity. Don't think I'm not attaching myself into a certain name tag or anything, but I was just like, what does that mean? What does that mean? I was introduced to this book called Meeting the Universe Halfway by one of my profs of Andrew. And literally, the things that it was asking, it brings up about, I've just like literally still in part one, but just things that I really needed to keep in my head of like, existence is not an individual affair. So therefore, experience is not an individual affair. Is it? Potentially. I don't know anymore. Ideas of entangled, interrelating, and so on. I mean, it honestly pretty much it talks about matter and meaning, substance and significance, talking about morality, talking about ethics, and talking about so many more things. But of course, I won't be able to explain everything now, but love. Um, I was just like, okay, thank you so much. Then this is literally just the beginning because the questions that I started questioning, the questions that I started not even questioning, but like asking, not myself, but everybody I knew in my profanity, which said, what does existence mean? What does this mean for you? What does that mean for you? Kind of trying to gather everything through other people's and kind of bring in their experience and if what does that mean for them, you know? So for the class further, I was just like, let me look into some other things that could really like, that could really talk about. So for example, for my annotated bibliography, so many things I could talk about. Starting to look into maybe electromagnetism, foundation of life. Okay. Um, I just want to move this. Okay. Um, foundation of life. Narrative disruption, fluidity, 100 apocalypses. Thematic of use of water, fluidity in Corin's work, emotional existential implications, so much. Yes, I'm using ChatGPT for abstract. But of course there's more. I've written myself stuff. I've written things from my heart as well, of course, too. Bro. Psychological aspects of creativity, kind of looking into maybe the actual information that the person actually intertwines into their work. But let's focus on the most important one, which is Meeting the Universe Halfway. So this book explores the agential realism, bringing in philosophical framework of quantum physics by Niels Bohr, reworking the understanding of space, time, matter, causality, agency, subjectivity, and objectivity. This will enhance my scope of relational value within the outer forces and our reactions to them. It is important for this research because I find relativity with sciences to where this book bridges psychological and material sciences together. And the other one is, which I'm going to talk about, is which one I have found is called Modeling Fluid Flow, the State of Art. So it's basically a conference proceeding about like, what is it even about, bro? But it's basically talking about like technologies and kind of the technologies that they use to capture something that's fluid and so much more. I've literally I've looked through it once and I just know I haven't till December 20th, but there's still so much that I really need to research. But I was like, that's amazing. With my other professor, Catherine, she brought up this theory, and I love some theories, especially when it has something to do with my work, called affect theory. Let me pull this up to you guys, especially affect theory by Brian Masumi and also Eve Sedgwick. So Brian Masumi says, how does the body perform? So first of all, my mind is a space. My mind is a slave to the outside voice. Let that one sit with you. So Brian Masumi asks, how does the body perform its way of a definitional framework that is not only responsible for its very construction, but seems to prescript every possible signifying and counter-signifying move as a selection from a repertoire of possible permutations on a limited set of predetermined terms. My bad. Oh, also questions about potentiality and that matter is a movement. A lot. I've written it down in a napkin because I was just sitting down and I was like, wait, it's crazy. And then Eve Sedgwick says, authentic reality that I believe is compiled through performative utterances. Yeah. Texture has context as well. It's honestly crazy. And also not only affect theory was brought up, but also feminism was brought up, and then that brisk of death, almost like this ego death that I'm presented into the scene. Because I had this thought of like, I want to create a shadow zine. So aka shadow zine, like this scene, but version 2. So much, right? There's so much that we can get from this, and there's so many theories that also impact with this that I can really delve into. But what about also like feminism? And why am I showing this backstage too? What does that have to do with it? And also, by the way, this work is brought up from like my work from back in high school. And that's literally, I've done it and then I left it. I didn't even think about it. I only rediscovered it later. So I was just like, that's crazy. I mean, if you look back at this, right? Can you see the backstage? So much more to offer. So I was like, feminism, presenting my body in a femme body. Is that alter ego? Who knows? My third professor, Avery, asked me if I'm going through an identity crisis and I should try meditating and try to be intensely and purposefully present. Do I have anxiety? I don't know. And honestly, the identity crisis really threw me off. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I was like, what is happening? Not only what is happening, I'm like, what? Me going through an identity crisis? I don't think so. I don't know her. I don't know her actually. All I know is that I'm not going through an identity crisis, but I let that one sit with me. Yeah. And I realized I'm actually very in the beginning of my identity crisis because it went further more than just that. And then I was just like, that's crazy. So I started pulling up more things. I started like collecting different things and let me show you. Let me show you what I've been collecting because I had no clue that all of what I've been doing would really speak to me and not even speak to me, would really scream my name. And the thing is that I also never really kind of thought about that. I never really knew the best way to collect my thoughts and my what I could do. But not even what I could do. It's just like I just didn't know how to really collect myself. Let's put it that way. It's important to see my face because there's gonna be a lot of reactions. Anyways, so I was just like, what the fuck do I do? What the fuck do I do? How do I collect this? I already have this notebook. I have other notebooks and then so many other things that I've just been kind of like, I didn't really have a way to store it correctly. So I found out about Rena. My friend told me about it and I was like, yo, you're really onto something. And I tried using it. Let me go from the beginning. I started with this, and this is Canon Thurston Maps, naturally occurring space filling curves. And it was actually incredible. I also read into it. I looked at the pictures of Canon Thurston Maps, and there was so much that you could just get from it. Looked into Andy Warhol's The Factory. And what does that mean? Why did he cover his whole fucking room silver using tinfoil? By the way, it wasn't even him who's on it. It was Billy name, his friend. He had this creative spurt that he was just decided to put silver foil all over Andy Warhol's room. And then even though, to be exact, even though it wasn't even Andy Warhol who did it, doesn't matter because I did that. But for me, I wanted to feel very overwhelmed in my space and make it an environment to kind of bring in more thought and everything. Then I looked into animatita and kind of the idea of leaving a presence. Um, I think you would understand, right? With my friend, a lot of questions. Me with my work, even before the silver foil, this bitch didn't know what was happening. Do I know now? No. Then I went to study and then I ended up doing this on my hand. But was it supposed to be coding? Yes. More things, more close-ups. Is also narrating and telling story, the transit, react, willingness to share, witness, audience as a witness, material expressing through me, holding, subjectivity. I mean, close-ups, kind of documenting my work and my space as this whole one singular thing. Let's show how I want to see. Thank God still got time. This is the book. Other works that I've just seen, kind of exploring silver or whatnot and other forms. So I was just like, spoke to me. I'm not gonna go through all of this, but as you can see, I've been also putting my old work and other just random things, words and my interactions, plates, me, nails, texture, glistening, colors, face, this whole thing. This is mine too. Blobs. Digital. UK work, UK work, UK work, UK work, UK work. Magazines and zines. Silvers in Paris, Iris van Herpen, her work, and her work in like in Paris. Incredible. Dreams, liquid, frozen, or gas, water is regularly present in Iris van Herpen's work and becoming the principal focus of her crystallization collection. Major component of human body, water splashes out of her dress, just as a flux that constitutes our very essence. On every level, from drop of one to tsunami, the potential allegory or gate to the shadow world, boom, representing both harmony and chaos in the type of form or form, crystallized liquid or waves, water inspires the designers for a type of creativity. So you get the vibe. You get the vibe. More and more and more my process, more these images. So as you can see, that's what I've been doing. And these are the kind of Thurston maps. more of the close-ups and just more of it too, but different ways, and also all about water. This is like a lightning. This is a photographer, which I don't, Hiroshi Sugimoto. His lightning works, other works, and this is the book that I have now as well, Modern Proof of the State of Art. I'm doing sketchbooks, which are also very important because it's a form of the way that I speak to materials is making. So actually, for example, I made, please focus on me for a second. Boom. I made this sketchbook for my friend. Nothing crazy, but you know, my interaction. And then I made this one actually today. I've already made like 4 sketchbooks. This one is for me, of course, reflective and shit like that. Boom. Also has this little tag. I don't know. I want to use it. I want to have like a book of something of some sort. Of course, then I don't know why. It's like this, and then you can like undo it here. Yes, you can undo it here, and you can open up for it to be like a little book. Like not even a little book, but have the pages horizontal, and like so I can have vertical and I can have horizontal, and that's why I want to flip. I can flip. Boom. Bap. Boom. Covered. Anyways, you get the gist. So I was just once again looking at my old works, and there's just so much conversation visually, the patterns into with my like 3D scans of the work that I've done. Just technically this, but this is like black and white, and also have like Photoshop and shit. So yeah, like I would describe like there's just like this, the forms and everything is just like this. Is it organic? Is it digital? That like kind of weird limbo space where it's like I can't really describe what it is. And I don't know if anybody can describe with it. So talking about space filling curves, constructively, you know, read a couple of words from there, read a couple of words from there. Other prints and repetition. Am I on bibliography? Silver Foil Studio, Niche Kapoor Studio, materiality. So, I agree. Talking about my face and talking about ingesting with silver. Of course, I don't have Bulgaria in my zine or whatever, but just like, this is crazy. Viewer discretion advice, by the way. I'm so sorry. Like, what does that mean? What does that mean? Like, oh my God, this is crazy. This is disgusting. This is incredibly crazy. Would I ever do this? No. I started looking into graphite. I started looking into like the actual graphite as a material. And it is one of the most important materials for nuclear industry. It has been used extensively as a moderator in power reactors, still being used for vigorously advancing high temperature gas reactors. Reflectors require the same characteristic that moderators have: a small atomic weight, a high scattering cross section, a high slowing down power, and a low absorption cross section. And I was like, wait, that's crazy. Moderator and cooler. In general, the function of the moderator is to slow down the fast neutrons from energies. So I feel like the questions that I was really asking is like graphite. So is graphite slowing me down? Because I feel so opposite. Graphite of high purity has good reflecting characteristics and can be obtained at reasonable cost. But reactor grade graphite is made artificially by graphitization of petroleum coke, since the naturally occurring graphite is not sufficiently pure to be used directly to the reactor. That's crazy, because as I'm reading the book Meeting the Universe Halfway, talks about making of bombs, aka Oppenheimer, and all of that. So I was like, okay, one is something that's like talks about something, not even talking about, but something that I guess really relates to my work and to what I'm reading, is because the whole glue work, I used graphite and water, and I had no clue that it has even any connection. And I was like, or even not even water, but just like in general, I don't know. Graphite was like soluble, and then of course I did, but like how much more there is, how deep it is without even me knowing. Am I questioning everything too much? Yes, but I mean, was I asking questions after reading the Meeting Universe when all of the other things I've been looking? Was I really asking myself existential crisis questions like matter? Are we really touching things? I mean, there's positive, there's negative energy. Water has emotions, water has feelings. This is all collected from everything I've been searching, but like water reflects a response to frequencies, aka when we speak, we of course frequencies. And if it's a negative word or negative connotations of a word, the actual pattern of the water molecules become very irregular and, let's put it that way, not aesthetically pleasing. So more chaotic. However, if there is words which is like positive, like love, um, hug, somehow the actual material, like the structure, becomes more unified and more organized and more visually appealing. Let that one sit with you. Water has memory as well. It's a, I mean, it's bioorganic. It's a whole, it's a harvesting of, it's a harvest of bacteria. It's a home for things. We're drinking it, for goodness sake. Like, I mean, honestly, when I found out so many things about water, water is also, is it, can it ever really be contained? What does that mean? So many questions. I mean, I was really weirded out to drink water after that. So I was just like, this is crazy. Looks into heavy water, by the way, we're also made 7% out of heavy water. And this is me trying to do this, what I'm doing right now, but at home, and I realized I don't have anything with me. So there's also understanding the intrinsic water wettability of graphite. Like I'm telling you guys, everything that I've been researching has just been really like, how are we made out of? What are we even made out of? Like chaos and order, organized chaos. What is even chaos? Are we even real? Do we only see things? Like, are we focusing on certain things just because when we can see it, we can see it? What is our experience between things that we can't describe? Are we already preconditioned to experience the things that we experience, or it's already dictated, or it's not dictated? Is it free? What does free mean? What does a free flow mean? What does state of flow mean? I mean, these are questions that I can't answer right now. Will I even be able to answer them later? I don't know. I feel like suddenly now when I'm trying to describe everything, it's like, of course, everything that I've been looking into more like scientific works. I like, they're right there. So, you know, that research has been letting me into a lot of things. So I feel like the maps, oh God, I moved on too fast. And that's really what I've been explaining when I explain to people, because I'm like, I say, I have retraced my steps as an artist and as a person experiencing things, because I was just like, there's so many things that I want to know, but I just don't know. And do I even need to know them, period? So it kind of makes sense when my prof was like, you're kind of going through an identity crisis. And I was like, oh, you're kind of right. Because are we really experiencing things that we want to experience on our own terms? I mean, I feel like the way that I make work and the way that I experience life is very cyclical. It's a form of like, let's put it that way, living. I dissociate, and I even dissociate further. I do realize, and I'm like, wait, hold on. Am I even real? What's happening? Then there's like this slow transition into reality where I'm like, oh my God, like everything's fine. I've been making this shit up. I don't know, man. I mean, honestly, I feel like it's just a form of like protection and defense and psychological things that's just like, I'm not really trying to really find a reason or cure it, really. Of course, I'm trying to, but like, might as well embrace it to what I have, right? Anyways, So I was like thinking, I was like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? So slowly as I'm getting better, I'm literally at the peak of existence. I'm like, wait, shit. The sky is blue. The sky is so blue. It's beautiful. This is that. This is that. I'm like, this is incredible. Whoa. And then sudden drop. I'm like, guys, what is happening right now? I'm like back into the status of just like, get back to me later. Yeah, get back to me later. Thank you so much. I'm currently in this process of like, I feel like I'm just dropping, but also I did have 2 coffees and then also I am sugar high right now. So I was like, wait, this is crazy. This is crazy. What's happening? What's happening? Anyways, so that repeated structure and those emotions that I experience, it's just keeps on going, just like water. I feel like there's a lot of resonance that I have with water where I'm like, it goes through formations, deformations, where it's still this pattern that it goes through. Yes, it's very slow. It takes decades, takes months, but it could be biennial, it could be quarterly, monthly, blah, 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 blah. What does that mean though? What does that mean? Why is there so many forms and status of like environments and you absorb everything, but then you become into something else, but then you harvest those singular or multiple ideas and then crazy. So what about now? What have I been looking into? You know, with these such large questions and with the way that I've been thinking, I feel like I just really don't want to let it go. And of course, I'm not gonna let it go, like duh, but I don't want to be burnt out and everything. So I'm just like, let me see what I can do. Because other things that have been also really interesting is algorithm and coding. So like computational versus organic language, aka like coding, it's all a series of numbers, right? Not numbers, it's all a series of like elements, tags. So it's like all kind of compiled in as like information. So it's like a sets of information all piled up into it. Of course, everything is becomes mathematical, but then that pattern is also it's like going into our digital presence and our For You page. It speaks to us more than we even think. Not even we know, but we'll be speaking about something. Not talking about like Siri and not talking about like them listening to us, but like For You page. The algorithm knows you better than you know yourself. It times things perfectly. Yes, there's so many other things that like are intertwined in it, but it's just crazy. It's getting very fucking pissed how loud I'm speaking. Anyways, so I was just like, that's a lot. And then language, the way that we interpreted things. Do I even need to explain my work? Can I really even explain my work? No, I really can't actually. That's why I try to keep on like reading about other things and kind of deeping myself into further questions and asking more questions and asking more questions and then da 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 da. And the way that I realized my midterm critique went like this. Leah, stop. I'm like, okay, what do you mean? Stop doing your research. You have so much, you already have like 20 projects, 25 projects, 30, 69 projects that you can fucking potentially do. I'm like, yes, I know. And there's like 120 kind of further investigations that I can continue on doing. I know. Then make some. Start off with something. Make so much information that you have gathered, make it into something. Well, the thing that I presented for my midterm project was also this. So it's basically like a series of works that I did, kind of trying to channel whatever I've been doing. And I have found that there's a lot of like conversation, not even conversation, but I felt very actually constrained with this work. Like everything was already predetermined. I always felt very clinical and I was using Zoom ink because I was trying to like try to be intensely present. You know, with this whole meditation shit. And I was like, I really need to actually. Oops. So just imagine this, just a bunch of like feelings like that, kind of going into formality and what that means. Boom. And then I was just like, wait a second. I've been also wanting to do this like zine again, right? And I'm like, I really like the magazine industry, so I should make a zine. So I was just like, okay, let me make a shadow zine. Had this whole preparation since the beginning of semester. I was like, I'm very sad, very sad. But there was nothing really speaking to me. And I was like, I don't really want to force it. And I feel like the worst thing that is going to happen is for me if I really try to force it and I'm like, we don't do that here. We don't do that here. We gotta let things speak. So I was just like, okay, whatever. I'm gonna lay out the things that I did, which is basically like not even series, but it's just like those things that I just made, and it took me so long, and I was just like, wait, that's crazy. Anyways, crazy things. Okay, cool. And then I was just like, let me work. And I was like, okay, I got my hot glue. Let me bring it down. I really hope you again. And I was just like, let me think about water, let me think about graphite, let me think about hot glue. And what could I really do? So I recreated this work, which is basically like as I was talking about it, it's basically just kind of looking back into what that means. It's using hot glue and water and kind of retracing my steps and seeing where I can further take it, kind of re-talking the language that I've built my visual language upon throughout this whole thing, right? This has to mean something, but how can I even push this further? Anyways, more water was involved, more graphite was involved. I put graphite and water. I made some like ink drawings, and I was just like, there's something about materiality, but something about me interacting with the material, which is so fun. And then I was like, let me do the opposite of what I did with these drawings, where I was very constrained. Did I there? Did I, was still constrained at the beginning? Yes. Did I then went further? Yes. And then I went more into it. And then I was like, yeah, the ink's really just talking to me right now. Let me stop sharing. And I was like, there is so much that I can explore, that I have yet to explore, that I can literally just go crazy for. And that's exactly what I did. I went crazy. Let me share my screen again. Did I go crazy? Absolutely. Well, first of all, let's look into this. So I did kind of like, I was looking at shadow, and then I had my hot glue piece underneath, and there was creating this kind of shadow forms, and I was like, this is crazy. And then graphite became incredibly, water became incredibly reflective with like dark background, of course, right? So it's almost like I could see my work through this different reality. This is all from the water and was incredibly clear. Oh, that's me. That's me. That's how I was looking. So yeah. It's the same with. I'm like, I don't even have to be embarrassed anymore because of this. Well, you please look at my poster. This is the ink explorations. You see? Sumi ink and then water. Oh. At some point the tactility is getting lost. This was like my midterm, and I was just like, ah. And then I was just like, wait, graphite, I can do something with this. And then I just like made it into this like thing that I just put on my hand, because I was like, let me use my hand as a tool now. Graphite is incredibly crazy, and let me just use it as a tool. So that's exactly what I did. Did I take some cute photos with it? Of course. Because it was just incredible. That experience was just like, I don't know, I felt very primitive, and I felt very like that I was just like in this conversation with this material. I applied further iterations into using graphite with using dry graphite, and then also using wet graphite and what that means as well. And then the next thing I know is I did this work, aka I just put it on. it's a eureka. Let's put it that way. It was crazy. I mean, guys, look at this. It just, and then I further rubbed it in, and then it was like something that was crystallized, and I was like, this is crazy. And then I was like, I'm obsessed with the way that it looks even more, even more, even more. Then wet graphite on my hand, and I was like, this is crazy. Even more, even more. Like I was interacting with the material fully in it, you know what I mean? And then I started rubbing it on top of paper too. And it was just like absolutely crazy. It gave water, but there was no water involved in this, apart from actually making the hot glue surface. And it took this, and then I did this, and I was rubbing more graphite in a different way, and then I unfolded it, and it was a whole different thing, interacting with graphite on water, interacting with it on paper, painting the paper, and then putting the hot glue thing on top, and then rubbing it in. And I mean, what is this? What is this? My studio. More. It's crazy. My bad. Get back to reality. Back into reality. Boom. The next thing I know is paper is going down. Paper is going down the water with graphite, and then filled it in. Filled it in, guys. Filled it in. Of course, there's a mark on my thing. I mean, come on. Isn't this also it's kind of bluish too? So I'm like, Argeria, whatever. Argeria. Crazy. Of course, you gotta take pictures with it too. Because I was like, I'm surrounded by my heads. I mean, isn't this crazy? Would I ever did I ever think about a couple of years ago that I'm gonna be surrounded by the heads of me? No. Check it out. More. Just became crazy warped. What is this? What is this? What does the flash mean? It's reflecting and I look alive, but I'm on this like 3D plane surface. I made myself into a plane that is 2D, but washing my hands too. I'm getting it further. I mean, look at this face. Crazy. More graphite. Is it alive? Is this what it is? What is this? Rubbing it in. And I press some paper into the face. I mean, my hands, everything went in it. This is my well. Anyways, crazy. And then Mm-hmm. So yeah, a lot, right? And it didn't stop there. As you could see, I like covered myself. And then the next thing I know is I'm peeling it off, and my eyes were also very dry, by the way. And then just look at this. What is this? I'm very present of the camera here, of course. And I have more. And then look at this. Like, what is this? I don't know. And close-ups. reflection. I mean, was it absolute, like a mess? God. To clean up, yes. And then I've got some pictures like this. And this is very important. Boom. I mean, guys, like, am I going crazy with this? Yes. But am I absolutely in love with it? Also, yes. But really, like, choose the way that you want to conceive it, because I'm perceiving it completely fine. And it's just a part of me. And this alter ego, I don't really know if it's me, right? And the thing is that I also have saved every single thing that I've used. Even the papers that I've like used to rub myself with. The papers that I've like crumbled over my skin. Is it not? Is it not? We don't know. Is it skin? Like, at the end of the day, it's just paper, but also what does that mean? Is it just paper? So let me just share the screen of my latest things that I've done. The latest revelations with this woman. Also did this whole song tray, which I'm excited to go back home to. It's crazy. So much content. I mean, everything that I showed here, right? And everything just starts to make sense. So the questions, it's like domestic, industrial. What does plasticity in relation to material, in relation to body means? What do these qualities mean even? Why am I choosing to represent myself in a femme body? What does it mean to open up the body in such a way? Skin, sheet, emptying myself out into one plane. What does it mean to represent myself in that one plane? Visible but not visible. Why? How does it fluid? You know? Powers of Horror, Chapter 1, Julia Kristeva. Projecting openness in material shattering of the body. Designating the boundaries of a subject, flesh, origin, autonomous subject. Something went wrong trying to save void. Immediate response, pre-affect, understanding the body in autonomous versus porous way. Autonomy is metering of a material, porosity and fluidity. Go deeper and allow the boundary of my body and material and talk. Body is a site of any direction, multiple directionality. Vision is about an acute focus. Is it a self-portrait? Is it contours of myself? I mean, I think right now at this stage, let me see if I've forgotten anything. I feel like honestly that's pretty much it. I mean, the questions that I have right now is just like, how am I gonna, like, what am I doing next? How am I formatting this? I mean, like, I don't know. There's so much to work with, but at the same time, I'm like, I feel as much as I feel lost, do I even feel lost? Is it even a feeling of feeling lost? I seriously don't know. There's so much that I want to really explore and explain, and this is just it. This is it, guys. This is it. I really appreciate people listening, but that's honestly the way that I've been like talking about my work. You see, very simplistic words, and I'm not trying to like bring in this whole thing, threshold, da 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 da. But genuinely, it's been like that. It's been like that. And this whole foil thing and everything that I've been doing, it's males, chaos. It's manic chaos. I feel like I'm doing this and I'm doing this. I mean, like, guys, like, look at all of this. I don't know. I don't know what's next. There's so many things that are next. And now I once again have graphite all over my fucking face. Happened like 3 times today as I'm explaining my work. Because I'm over explaining everything and that's completely fine. But I hope you enjoyed this. Hope you have a good, lovely night. I hope you grabbed a snack for this. They definitely served you. Anyways, there we go. It's gonna go unedited, and the reason why I'm doing this because it's me. I feel like it is me. I feel so much. I feel alive when doing this work, but it's like wrapping myself up with more theories and more things. And the way that I've been working is just like I've been investigating further. And then it's like I've been trying to deepen it, and I deepen it actually, and I go further. There's like I go into this like one-to-one confrontation with what I'm doing, one-to-one conversation, one-to-one. I mean, is it violent? Is it quiet? Is it loud? For me, everything that I've been doing feels very quiet. My work feels quiet, but it's not. People have said it's not. And I don't know, like that's so interesting. I feel like I've been working with shadows and been working in the shadow, but have I? I guess we'll never know. Can't wait to see what's gonna happen next. So many possibilities and so many thoughts to be put on, but I have to put this on hold and focus on my other homework, coding. Is also a whole different thing. Coding and language is interesting, very interesting. Bye bye. I hope you have a good evening. Thank you so much.